Guys, this may be the one that got away, because y'all told me about Injective a while ago, but I took a quick look and thought it was yet another copycat blockchain, so I decided not to look any further. But then it rocketed over 1000% in the span of a few months, shocking everyone. So all I'm wondering is it time to buy INJ, or is it not really worth it, especially at these high prices? Well, to find out, we're going to evaluate both the pros and cons before coming up with our final verdict. Alright, starting with the pros, or the case for buying INJ. The first thing is that Injective has extremely strong metrics. Just look at their total value locked chart. It has rocketed since late last year and is now at all-time highs. So that's of course great for any DeFi related project. But it's not only that. If you dig deeper, you'll see that their active users and token holders are both continuing to rise. This means that their ecosystem is straight poppin', and this grassroots activity has led to an impressive 450 million transactions on their blockchain. So things are looking quite healthy, and they have some real adoption to build off of. But then the question becomes, why were they able to grow so quickly? Well, one explanation is that it's because they have an incredibly unique value proposition. You see, Injective started off as a DeFi dApp themselves, before becoming a layer 1 blockchain. But they aren't just any regular layer 1 blockchain though. They are specifically designed for finance or DeFi apps, just like their former selves. So that means they bring some really unique features to the table here. For example, they offer certain financial primitives to all the dApps building on their platform, such as a fully on-chain order book. And that is incredibly powerful because it means that teams don't have to build those primitives for themselves. Like that on-chain order book I just mentioned, it creates a shared liquidity environment, which means that every dApp building on Injective can tap into the same pool of liquidity. That makes life way easier for builders, by the way, as they no longer have to do the hard work of bootstrapping their own liquidity. But it's not only that. Injective is also Cosmos based, so it has interoperability built in from the get-go. It is natively interoperable with a bunch of networks from Ethereum to Solana, as well as all the Cosmos ones, of course. And then another benefit is that Injective is designed to be MEV resistant. So us traders don't have to worry about getting front run or sandwich attacked when trading on Injective dApps. And then finally, they just have all the basic features like fast speeds, instant finality, and close to zero fees. So overall, Injective has a strong and unique value proposition, one that's tailored towards financial dApps, and that makes them enticing for both builders and users alike. But here's the thing, just having a strong value proposition is not enough. We also have to look at their tokenomics before we can come up with a final verdict. Fortunately, when we do just that, we see a lot of things to like. For example, INJ is deflationary, which I'm always a fan of. They do weekly token burns where 60% of the protocol revenue is used to buy back and burn INJ tokens. And then the other 40% is sent to developers as incentives, which is smart, as you need builders in order for your ecosystem to thrive. But beyond that, they currently offer a high 15% APR if you delegate, so that's an enticing reason to hold. And nearly all of its supply is already circulating, like 90%. So that by itself makes me like their tokenomics a lot more than many of their competitors out there. Anyways, that's it for my pros, but before we get to my thought-provoking cons, I got something for you traders, airdrop hunters, and just general degens out there. It's a cutting-edge DeFi platform called Equalizer, who's also the sponsor of our video. And they have some brand new features that can make your life significantly easier. First is their new Meta Aggregator, which is a multi-chain DEX and cross-chain bridge. But what's really cool is their gas function, which lets you transfer gas seamlessly across networks. And let me tell you, that is so convenient. Anyhow, their second new feature is their Airdrop Explorer, which does exactly what you'd imagine. It helps you farm airdrops so you can make sure to catch them all. But besides those two game-changing features, Equalizer is also well known in the flash lending space, having done over $350 million in volume in loans. So Equalizer really does it all, and their ultimate mission is to equalize the DeFi markets. That's why you should go try them out if you do any of those things, from swapping to bridging to hunting airdrops, as Equalizers for everyone, and just go use my link below and you'll be entered in a giveaway for a chance to win 50 bucks. Just read the description for more info. Alright, back to the cons, or the case against buying INJ. And my first con is that Injective has a ton of competition, from two sides even. The first side is from your traditional derivatives protocols like GMX, GAINS, or Synthetics. These I consider competitors because there's some of the top derivatives dApps out there, and you're either using them or a dApp on Injective, so there's a clear competition for users here. But then the second side is from Injective's rivals who also have built their own app chains. I'm talking DYDX, Kujira, and even Say, which has its own decentralized order books. So Injective has competitors on both sides to deal with, not to mention DYDX is the clear leader in terms of TVL and revenue, so Injective has some catching up to do, even if it has more short-term hype currently. But then my next concern is that there may be more to their stats than what meets the eye. Like their total value locked that I was just praising in my pros section. Well, if we look a bit closer, we see that half of it is from one protocol, Hydro Protocol, which actually got such a high TVL shortly after its launch. They were likely able to do that by offering a super high liquid staking APY of almost 15%. But as we've all seen before, those high APYs are never sustainable as more and more people come to chase those yields. So when it inevitably comes down in the future, how will that affect Injective's overall stats, which is so reliant on just one protocol? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. And then my next con has to do with their tokenomics, which I also said I liked earlier, but may have jumped the gun. Because one thing I don't like is that their token is concentrated in the hands of whales. According to Into the Block, 95% of their supply is in the hands of large holders, which may not necessarily be a problem, except for the fact that there's rumors and accusations swirling around that the whales are manipulating the price of INJ. In a now deleted thread, Mia XBT wrote that some suspicious orders popped up on exchanges for INJ, perfectly timed with the Bitcoin flash crash that was going on. So it really made it look like the market makers were manipulating the price of INJ to hook retail in at the most opportune time. There's also accusations that Injective structures their airdrops in a shady manner, requiring people to stake in order to qualify, hence locking them in while the insiders can dump. And then lastly, there's rumors that Injective has paid influencers with their tokens for favorable coverage. Now, I will say that much of this is unconfirmed, so we can't know for sure what went on. And you could also argue that most projects are already controlled by market makers or pay influencers for coverage. So it may not be the worst thing in the world if this is true, but still, the fact that the supply is so concentrated means that we do have to keep an eye out for such concerns. Anyhow, my next concern is not hearsay at all, as you can check it for yourself on the blockchain. And it's the fact that their treasury is super concentrated in their own token. They currently hold 15.2 million INJ tokens, which amounts to over $500 million. And that's quite a bit war chest, which is good of course. But the problem is that it's not diversified at all. So if the price of INJ crashes, it will leave their finances in a precarious situation. And that could affect their ability to operate for the long haul. So they really need to diversify into things like stablecoins, but then if they do that, it will lead to further selling pressure. So it's like a double-edged sword right now. Anyhow, all that being said, I do like Injective overall and think it's a solid project. But there's just way too many promising projects out there in this layer 1 niche, so I'm not sure this one would make my final cut if I was forced to be picky. On the other hand, Celestia's Tia does make my final cut, and if you want to find out why, watch this video right here. Also, don't forget to try out Equalizer's Meta Aggregator and Airdrop Explorer, link below to qualify for their giveaway.